Hello, everyone, and welcome to our most recent episode of Ask the Author with the Chicklet Book Club podcast. We're here today with several authors, and we cannot wait to talk to you about this anthology that they are all a part of, called the Rake Review. We have Tabetha Waite, Kathleen Ayers, Charlie Lane, and Tracy Sumner. Thank you guys all so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yay! Longtime listeners may remember Tracy. She was on the show last year. And she was wonderful and gave us a copious amount of her time, which we're still really grateful for. So Tracy knew that it would be really fun to get a group of historical authors together. And we tried to time it like around Bridgerton. And we're coming off of season 3. Is it still season 3?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it seems like it's taken so long just to get here. Benedict is our next season, and so we were looking for a different series that would be a lot of fun to talk about, kind of along those lines, taking place in similar time periods, so we could, ogle over the costumes and like think about the different things about that time period that are, I think, Ray and I have talked about this on the show a lot, that even like we'll get into it, but like the little things about like being able to touch people or not touch people in this time period are so different than what we're used to now, where maybe we're getting a little like desensitized to all these things. So it's one of my favorite things about revisiting this time period. So we have some questions for all of you. But first, can we kind of go around and can you guys introduce yourselves and maybe talk about the book that you have in this anthology series, the Rake Review? Tabetha, do you want
And when it comes out. Yeah, and when it comes out too.
Oh,
okay.
good one.
My book is The Hunt for Mr. October. And I kind of got the title from The Hunt for Red October. But I thought it suited the character because we're going to try to find the actual hero behind the Rake Review. So it comes out on October 1st. And I like October. It's one of my favorite months. My anniversary's in October, and I just like the spooky theme of it. So hopefully everybody will like it. It's not too spooky, too gothic, or anything like that. But the weather's nice, and always a full moon, and just kind of cozy. And I forgot to introduce myself, so I guess I'll back it up a little bit there. I get ahead of myself. Like, I got this book. I live in Missouri, and I have been published since 2016, but I've wanted to write ever since I was 9, so a childhood dream. And I realized I had a book that came out today, and it's actually book number 50. And I didn't realize that.
Congratulations!
Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a mix of novels and novellas, and that, of course, it's including the Rake Review book coming up. So I'm super excited about it. I've been reading all the books too. I'm a little behind. I'm working on Kate's book right now, and then Kathleen's is next. So I'm really excited. And I like Charlie's book too, and I can't wait for Tracy's. I know she's a great writer, so she's going to have something awesome.
My son, sorry, I'm on a podcast.
Children.
He's 17, so we don't want that. Yeah, I've already locked the door. Sorry. Teenagers, sorry. Tabetha gets this completely.
Yes, my daughter is 17 and my oldest is 23, so been there doing that.
My 24-year-old's going to walk in at some point, probably during this, and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" So,
Yeah, I thought I locked the door, so
no, I already put the dog out.
Children.
I love it.
Tabetha, congratulations on your 50th book. I love that you were just very casually like, oh yeah, I forgot I had a book that came out today.
Yeah.
Drop the mic and just walk away. I love it. Love it.
What else?
Most people are like, well, I'm going to celebrate and like go out to dinner or something when I finish a book. And I'm like, half the time I forget. I'm like, oh yeah, this is release day. I better like try to do something about that.
I guess that really means that like you're prolific at this point, right? Like you have so many books that you have no idea when they're coming out.
Yeah, kind of, almost, yeah. And I actually have 2 coming out on the same day on October 1st, rather than the Rake Review. I have another one, so it's like, well, that's going to be a busy year, but that's good.
True.
I think
don't want to do anything else.
There we go. Yeah.
Perfect. Kathleen, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm not very exciting. That's the first thing I'll tell you about me.
False.
But these cameras make my hands look gigantic, which always surprises me. I think it's. I do. I think it's my computers. Look at how they're giant, and they're not
Man
really.
I'm going to try this now.
Man hands, Kathleen.
I think it's all of us. I don't think it's just you.
I think it's just.
I think look at
It's just.
because I have tiny little hands for someone who's like 6 foot tall. I have tiny hands.
I use 8 computers all at the same time. No, that's not true. Let's see. I decided to write full time after a not so storied career in advertising sales, and I've always wanted to be a writer. So I've been publishing since 2013, but full time since 2020, right before COVID hit. So that was the fun of that. And I was trying to think what else exciting thing I think I'm on book 26-ish.
Wow.
Maybe.
Wow.
So, and then there's a couple novellas in there. They're mostly full length. But I've always, like I said, I always wanted to be a writer. I love romance. I love romance writing. I'm proud. I know the difference between stays and a corset. My friends all think they always thought I had a weird job, and now they think I have a really weird job. So now they're like, wait, you sell advertising? Wait, now you write smutty books. And I'm like,
And now you've got it.
now you know me. But I would say that I'm trying to think, what else can I tell you? Let's see, I can't garden. I like bizarre sexual trivia, which if you follow the Brazen Belles, Brazen Belles, I post on a fairly regular basis. I go down the rabbit hole while I'm doing research, and I just find out these just horrible things that I feel compelled to share with the group, and so I do. So, so we do a little bit of that. I do a little bit of that, and other than that, my book is An Heiress for August, and a friend said, "Oh, you named him August," and I'm like, "What else was I going to do with that month?" That's the first thing that came to me. I was like, "Oh, okay, he's August. The month is August. We'll make that work." And I think it's a really fun book because I very intentionally made sure that the heroine is older and she's experienced. And so there's no deflowering of anybody. And so they just get right to it. And it's super fun because she has more of a modern sensibility about things because she is, quote unquote, a spinster at the age of 34. I wish I could see 34 again. But anyway, so I like that vibe. I like the way that they could banter with each other because they were both adults and they were both experienced. So that was the fun of writing that story. And they were childhood bullies, which made it really interesting for me. Yeah.
Yep.
So I had to redeem them, both of them. Yeah.
Kathleen, I will tell you that speaking of weird sexual things, is that we used to have a segment. We actually stopped it on the podcast called, what was it called, Veronica? You came up with the name.
It was called Toys for Twats.
Oh.
And I would do research onto the craziest things that we could find that were sex related. Some were toys, some were magic sex spells. That I actually bought one. Didn't work, FYI, just to let you know.
I mean,
didn't
we're
work.
Still waiting. Will Jason Mantzoukas fall in love with you? We don't know. It's possible.
It could happen.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Totally happen.
So, if anybody's interested, back episodes. Sorry, didn't mean to derail.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I may have to go back. Maybe I'll steal some stuff. I don't know. It could happen. Yeah,
it was fascinating.
It's
and disturbing every time.
Yes, because it's usually me trying to find the most interesting, let's say, and just showing it to Veronica. Yeah.
There was
there's things that I will never see.
Fit. Yeah, I can never unsee those things, but there was one that sort of fit for this time period where it was a chair that I forget what it was called, but it was a chair that a woman would sit in so that men could pleasure her.
Oh. Well, that's very much like Dirty Birdie's chair that he had.
Go another story.
Yeah. So he could pleasure two women at once, but mainly it was because he was so obese, he couldn't, he had to kind of recline.
Right. Oh, wait, we did talk about that. Ray, do you remember? We did talk about that.
Not a good vision.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
There was actually the discussion in the Brazen Belles. There were people drawing diagrams trying to figure out how he did this, and there are diagrams online if you ever want to look them up. So
I think we did look up.
Yeah, again, things that I cannot unsee.
Exactly.
So anyway, you're
what men will do to their members. Any hoozles.
It's just delete my browsing history. Somebody, please.
Oh,
just light my computer on fire when I die.
Yeah,
really
I told Veronica, she's got to come over and clear my search history. Yeah, just
Exactly.
throw it in the yard.
Microwave.
I've already assigned several people to do it for me, just in case.
Yeah,
There you go.
absolutely.
There you go. Yep.
Charlie, will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Charlie Lane. I published my first book in 2020, but I'd written them before then. I had an entire series written before I started publishing. Anyway, I used to be an academic, and related to the Toys for Twats conversation, I taught. This is going to be such the weirdest. I taught a class that in which we read a college level class in which we read Twilight, and there was a huge pop culture element, and so I definitely found a sparkly dildo that you could put in the freezer and take out when you needed it to best emulate Edward Cullen's junk. So
Wow.
What was his junk sparkly? I don't remember. I know he sparkled.
Yes.
So I
He sparkled too.
Kind of good
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Reason. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he would be cold.
But now I have
Yep.
a visual chart, so thank you. I didn't have one before, but now I do.
Well, it is the body of a killer, so that's what he says in the book.
the Killer Bella. So that was a fun time in my life.
That's amazing.
I wrote for the Rake Review the fake February Rake, and the first reaction to, hey, we're going to write about rakes was great, fun. And my second reaction was, oh no, because I don't write a lot of rakes. Or really, I don't know if I've ever really written a rake. I'm a full-on cinnamon roll queen, so I had to figure out a way to balance those two things. So we have Hades, the most diabolical name I could find for my sweet little cinnamon roll, who Dr. Hades Jones, who everybody thinks is the worst rake, with a harem south of London, and how he's not really a rake in the end, or ever to begin with.
He's such a delightful character.
He's a delight, yes.
Really is.
Also,
He really
just
is.
random child and a puppy. I was like, wait, what is happening?
Oh my God, that was hysterical. Oh, can I ask while we're on this?
Oh, yes, we were going to ask. See, I'm glad I remember the puppy. Go on.
Did you ever name the puppy?
The puppy is not named yet, but since you suggested Scandal, I'll adopt that for you.
I like it.
Nice.
It's a great name.
It felt fitting for them,
it's-
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I love that.
Yeah. So good. So good.
And Ms. Tracy.
Yes, and you guys, the thunderstorm is happening, so if it gets, you can hear it in the background, let me know, and I'll kind of try to mute when I'm not speaking. But anyway, so I'm Tracy Sumner. I don't really want to say when I first published, but I will tell you here, I went to RWA in 1997, and I was in my 20s, And I had a do or die. I wanted to be published by the time I was 30, and I sold my first book in 99. And that was when the world was different. So sometimes I seem like I don't know, like jaded is the wrong word, but I just, it was a different world. 68 people sold that year. And we used to have numbers at RWA. So that's how many manuscripts, thousands and thousands. They used to throw them over the transom. So the window above, and that's literally how they would get into someone's office in New York, which is where I live. But I'm in South Carolina now because I kind of do a little bit of a dual thing. And so I was with Kensington. They did great covers. I loved my editor. She was a hoot, and she used to work with Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis before at, I think, Bantam. So this was kind of her final job, and sort of on her way out of retirement. She was she was very known. Like when she died, it was in Publishers Weekly, that kind of thing. But she when she was let go, her writers were left, and we were orphaned, which is a typical thing that happens. And at that time, you had to be on somebody's roster or get on someone else's roster. And I was also, writing was my second gig. So I was in corporate, a graphic designer. And so I kind of took time off. And when this whole thing came about, and I had an agent back then, a couple, and blah, 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 but I sort of just took a lot of time off. And then when I had a breast cancer diagnosis, which you guys may know, in 2017, and so cancer joke coming up, when I finished kind of with treatment, I might have been actually a little bit sort of in the middle, I think. And I said, oh, well, publishing's not as bad as cancer. Boom. So I just figured I'll start writing again. I know it's not a cheery, but it was great. Actually, the Lady is Trouble, I did this sort of paranormal. I'm not a paranormal fantasy reader ever. I don't like mysteries. I like pretty much straight rakes and romance and the whole thing, which I started reading when I was 19. And so I wrote that series in that book, and that kind of pulled me back into writing. So, and then now I've retired from corporate like Kathleen a couple of year and a half ago or so. And so this is my second gig. So I kind of think I had the first career with it and the whole thing that involved, and now this, which is very different. So, but it's good. And my book is Tall, Dark, and December, which is Sadie Boss gave me that name, and I just was like, I love it. I am writing it right now. In fact, I am just starting it. That's my wild hair hot mess way. So I don't have a ton to say except the last book, I just finished the last in the Duchess Society series, and it was a drag to write. I hate to say that. I don't know if you guys writers can chime in. Some books are really fun and they're great. I don't know what it is. It's like one is great and the next one's a drag. And it was really hard to get out. And I don't know that readers notice. I don't think they do, but I do. So
Tracy, was that the Daring Debutante? Sorry, I didn't mean to. Was that the Daring Debutante?
No, Three Sins and Three Sins and Three Sins and a Scoundrel.
Scoundrel. Yeah, got it.
Daring Debutante was fun. That one was a fun one. So I wanted this one to be fun. So I'm kind of just throwing in some things that I like. So I don't have a ton to say, but anyway. So it's got to be fun. That's why. And I'm December, which is like, yikes. But anyway, so we shall see. We shall see. And this is kombucha, by the way. It's not beer. Beer soon. Wine.
I mean, we wouldn't,
judge you. Like,
no. I'm Planet Fitness over here. It's a no judgment zone.
It's judgment-free zone.
No, I'm good with beer and wine. I just said, I'm kombucha.
I'm drinking water.
Was that good? Was that
was great.
Wonderful.
I don't know what to say about the book yet. I'm not even totally set on the names.
Yeah.
That's how good it's going. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so while we're kind of still on the topic of titles, the titles for the series are quite creative. And Tracy, you had just said that Sadie gave you the name for your book. How did you guys come up with all of these titles? How much creative license did each of you have with it?
Total creative license, right? I mean, kind of. I mean, we just had to keep the month in there. But
gotcha.
Yeah. So that was a challenge. and some months, right? Because you have to make it make sense with the month. I mean, Tall Dark in December's awesome. The Hunt for Mr. October. I mean, come on, those are great titles.
Yeah.
I had mine was a pain. I just really sweated over it. February, like that doesn't really rhyme with anything.
No.
It doesn't fit in well to like replace a word in something catchy, you know. So I spent a lot of time with like a piece of paper and a pen, just like writing words connected to the story. Finally, like some clicked, and so that was good. Finally, it took forever. It took forever.
I mean, I think it worked.
It works.
I mean, I enjoyed it.
They all work. They all sound awesome.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, they are really creative. The next one that'd be released, I was like, my God, where are they coming up with these? These are amazing. So I was very impressed.
They're all really good.
Yeah.
You're all publishing this as indie authors. So can you tell me more about how this anthology idea came to be and how you guys have gone about choosing your months and what authors are going to be in it?
Courtney McCaskill needs to be here for that.
Yeah.
Oh, is she the one who like kind of headed up?
I
She's
don't know.
kind of the brownie troop leader.
Yeah.
She can herd cats. She's awesome at it. So she kind of
Amazing.
put it all together.
We formed the Facebook group first, and then we started talking about the shared projects that we wanted to do within that Facebook group.
That's cool.
And I don't remember who came up with it wasn't me, who came up with the idea to do the shared world.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I can't remember. It's all there in that very, very long Facebook chat.
Oh God,
very long chat.
Yes, we have a painful Facebook chat.
Yes,
I like to see Facebook being used for good. So
Courtney and Sadie always have a lot to say, but I feel like it was kind of like a group effort. Like everybody chimed in their ideas and everything. So we knew we wanted to do something with the Belles.
But Tabetha was the calendar. I think the calendar, and I could be wrong, but that was your idea. And the calendar's been really popular. I mean,
I keep wanting to call it the Calendar Guy series instead of the Rake Review.
So
I love it.
It's clever. Big, I think. And
it's
the
very
guys
clever.
In the months, we just had the column, and then that would have everybody had a month, and you had to have the month in the title, and then that was pretty much the limitation, I think.
Yeah, I think we talked about how we had to mention them in the column so that the columns would sort of sound the same.
Sure.
Even they were all written by each one of us for our particular rake. But reading all the books, it's amazing to me how even though they're in different voices, they all sound like we understood our assignment. We got it. Right?
True.
Yeah. They all go together. It's very cohesive. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, it's impressive because there are so many of you. I mean, this is probably, aside from the one big giant book anthologies that you'll find where authors have contributed like novellas or something like that to it, this is the largest group of like full-length novels I think I've seen released in this way. And maybe I've missed others, but I think it's so clever. And it's I don't know, every month is new and but it all goes together. I don't know, it's really, I think, really catchy, and I mean, it drew me in immediately. I loved the idea of you get a new book every month and you kind of just go through, and I don't know, it's fun. You can literally have enough stuff to read for the year. You get
the entire year
first, and it's really nice.
Gives you something.
Well, I think the months help readers get it. Have they read it? because I've read them and I had to, not that I wouldn't anyway, but it's a lot of books. And I just finished Kathleen's. I loved it. So, but I'm doing it because I've got the one at the end. So I just have sort of a feel for what they are, but it's also honestly really easy for me to remember if I've read it because of the month. So I can just say, I got August to July to June, it's because the titles sometimes. So I think for readers, it's really helped them. It seems like. Yeah. I just sent out my newsletter and I had Kathleen's in it, and it's kind of like, just here's August. So they get it. They're like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've sort of
pre-order. Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. And going along, I know I'm going to jump a little bit, Veronica, but speaking of, because I was talking about shared things, like, were there any characters, or here's a list of characters that were, could show up in any of the books at any time, like, besides, like the Rake Review itself. Does. Yeah. So it was like a list, like, hey, here's somebody you guys can use in this book, or, a communal character list.
I don't think we did that. I remember talking to Kara Maxwell, who did Jilted in January, another hard month ago, and thinking about that I might use her character's shipping company as sort of a backdrop. But as it turned out, it wasn't going to work with what I was doing, so I chose not to do it. But I don't remember. I don't think we ever decided to do that. I think we kept them all pretty, not separate, but alike. I don't.
I think somewhere in a shared file there is a document where
where we
document. Where we can
I never find
character names and details, and
he's got a lot of documents.
Again, Courtney organizes us.
Yeah.
So well.
Yeah. I've actually considered in this one, because there might be a little bit of more, I've considered maybe at least even pulling in a name or two, and thought about asking a couple people, okay, I want to make sure, I've got it. I don't know yet, but I've thought about it. And that's not bad. It's easy as long as you don't give a lot of detail, because you don't know these characters like the writer does. So thought about it. Even just like seeing them in whites, or they got burned, but it worked out well. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe.
So, what do you guys think is the most challenging part of writing an anthology like this? Like, what was like kind of like a pain point for you guys?
Writing
maybe covers. I don't know. I mean, I didn't love my hero. I don't love him. I'm sorry. It's okay. It's good. But covers are covers. Sometimes you love them and it's like blazing. You're like, I love that cover. Or sometimes it's just that discussion and you just finally get to where, oh my God, I've bugged this designer too much and I can't do it anymore. So,
yeah, and
I like it, but the hero's not in my head, but on that face on that cover, but so maybe the cover for me, I don't know. It's not the designer. Dar's great. It's me. It's what I had in my mind. I could never get that face, I think.
And I don't write blonde heroes. Like, he's only the second one I think I've ever written. I don't write blondes ever. And so I don't know, because I'm not attracted to them in real life, right? So
makes sense.
Okay. Makes sense. It's all about me anyway, right? So anyway.
Of course.
But I think I said blonde, and just to do something different. And so I got this ice blonde guy on the cover. And the odd thing is, I remember after it was done and I hadn't written the story yet, my husband and I went to Iceland, and we were at the Sky Lagoon. And I remember going up to the bar to ask for a drink. And the person that waited on me, you could have put him in Vikings Valhalla like that. Like he had to perfection that ice blonde hair, those really gorgeous blue eyes. And I thought, oh, that's August, right? I mean, when I saw him. And so then I kind of melded that character to what was on the book. So that's the blonde thing was hard for me. I'll be honest. I don't know why it's so strange, but because he was blonde, but I really had to have somebody in mind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it fits him, I think.
It fits him now.
He's really tall, right? Super tall.
Yeah, he's very, very tall. He's just a big person, and so why not make him like a Viking?
Yeah.
So right. So yeah, and he's a war hero, so that all kind of fit together. So.
Mm-hmm. And she's so tall, so it makes sense.
Yeah. She's also tall. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that's like, but yeah.
I don't even.
I was like, us tall girls gotta stick together.
Yeah. What's it like?
Hard finding long pants. There you go.
Yeah, well, hard reaching the top shelf at the grocery store too. So that's all.
Yeah.
I have to always like bug somebody. Hey, can you reach that for me?
I'm the one who will be like, yes, I'll get that for you. Or like, can I get that for you? So I feel you.
You're who I'm bugging and saying, hey, can you reach that for me?
Do you want to go next, Veronica? I'm trying to see my list.
Sorry, I didn't know if Tabetha or Charlie had anything that they wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
What was a bear during this process?
I think I was just worried about on book 2 going with a cinnamon roll instead of a rake, and that like anxiety was kind of sitting on my shoulder the whole time. Like there's a series about rakes, but not. So that felt a little like I was cheating the entire series, you know. But then, like all the rakes, they have like hearts of gold naturally, right?
Yeah.
So it's it wasn't a problem.
They have to be redeemable. I mean,
right.
For sure.
I thought it worked very well, Charlie. Honestly, I thought it was a great book.
Book 2, though, man, that was like a real quick
anxiety there. Yeah.
Try doing 12. Try having the wrap up. Like literally, I'm going to need Valium. So. It will be fun.
It will be.
It will be
Go
beautiful.
back to Facebook, the family Facebook chat, the Rake Review. Yeah, that was good the other day.
Oh God. All that dinging.
Me and Sadie and Courtney. Yes, yeah, I know it was bad.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah.
I saw you reading and you didn't say anything. I saw your little face reading the notes.
Tabetha, do you have any pain points you want to talk about?
I loved reading the book. Like Tracy's talking about how some books can be like, oh, I really don't want to do this because like maybe you're wanting to get on another series and you just want to finish what you're on or something. Or this one was fun. It wasn't tied to any of characters that I had in other books. I was just more stressing about making sure I had all the formatting right, and I had like the Rake Review logo, and is it the right size, and that kind of thing. Like, does it look like the others? Like I was looking at all the other books. Okay, I think it's great. Yeah.
That is.
I'm not there yet, but I feel your pain. Yeah, I'm worried about that too, but it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys have brought up the Brazen Belles already. So are we going to find out who this person is who's been writing this column?
All eyes turn to Tracy.
Does Tracy get to tell us?
I'm going to say sort of.
Okay.
I think that's like, I think sort of. It's a delicate balance. That's the discussion, between what the readers want and what the writer has to do to not be painted in a corner. You know what I mean? And that was kind of my thing about not loving. I mean, I love the book I just finished, but it was painful. It was like pulling teeth, And sometimes they're just like that. It just happens. I don't know if it's life or just the book or just the characters or what. You're just kind of like, it's a fight, And so this one I wanted to be fun. So I didn't want to paint myself in a corner. So I think we'll kind of see. I know that's not a great answer, right?
Well, I think that
but I think it will be satisfying for the reader, no matter what.
Yeah.
Put it that way. I'm not a cliffhanger girl or anything like that. So.
Yeah, so I'm sure you guys all saw. I mean, there was like a threads going around. I happened to see, because I think from remember who jumped in on it. Was it Sarah McLean? I think possibly started the thread about it, and it fascinated me because I've been a historical romance reader my entire life, so I'm always kind of like, I don't really think it needs to be revamped, but I'm also 43 years old, so I don't know what like the young kids read today. So that's kind of like the youth. I don't know, like, I think that's where it's coming from, is like supposedly the young people don't want to read historical romances. And is there a need? Does historical romance as a genre need a revamp? Does it need a new look? How do you guys feel about that? And if you think it does, what are some ideas that you think could help? I mean, personally, I think there's so much more diversity and inclusivity that is already evident, that I think is like, obviously there can always be more, but I think everyone's trying to make a very conscious effort of kind of shaking things up. But I'd love to get your ladies' thoughts on this. So,
well, I personally, I mean, it has evolved already since way back in the 80s and stuff, with the bodice rippers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and maybe a few books that had some triggers. So it has definitely evolved over the years. But if you look at a lot of the younger crowd, they like the steam, they like the fantasy, they like some paranormal, they like shifters and that kind of thing. And they're growing up in the age of Game of Thrones is popular, and A Court of Thorns and Roses and that kind of thing. So I think that adding a romantasy is getting to be out there now. And I think if you have just a little bit of elements of mystery and intrigue to it, that it will appeal to the younger crowd. But it's definitely going to have to keep evolving.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think I think that for the most part, everyone kind of feels it's like, I remember reading like in the 90s, it was like so many of these women who were, I think this kind of goes into like, I think the other question I had was like, all of your books, everybody on this call, have like very similar themes in their heroines, and in particular, very independent, very smart and intelligent, like forward-thinking women. And is this a theme that you like, kind of like, to me, this is like what is helping revamp the historical genre. And is this a theme that's really important to you guys? I mean, I'm assuming it is, but what are your thoughts on that?
Me personally, I look at historical romance, and a lot of the world is very different, and it's really hard to look back at that time period because you have to look through a lens, right?
Yeah.
It was women didn't have any rights. It was a very misogynistic society. There wasn't a lot that a woman could do outside of being married, right?
Right.
So what I always try to do with my books is, because I try to keep them historically accurate, is to make sure that the person, the heroine, in whatever she is forward thinking, she's independent or whatever, but I try to keep her within the constructs of that time period so that it doesn't just go out on a limb, right? And I think you can do that and make it so that that person is more relatable, that she is somebody that, because those women surely did exist. It's just that they weren't talked about a lot, right? So in the Barringtons, which is one of my series, for instance, every single one of those women has some sort of secret talent that they practice as a career, and it's hidden. They're discreet about it, but they practice it. So I like to make sure that they have a purpose, right? Because it doesn't feel right to me for them not to have a purpose.
Right.
I don't know if that answers the question, but yeah.
No, it totally does.
Well,
it totally does.
I think, like, I'm trying to think about the change in Sarah's conversation. I've seen some of it. And kind of being back in, a reader then, and also a writer trying to sell then, or selling then. I think, almost as a reader, when I go back in my older books, the heroines are still, I've got Suffragettes and one, the series, and I did tons of research and more American, but so I don't think my heroines have changed as much as maybe, I don't even know if my heroes have changed. I think my style a little bit has changed with regard to, there was more overwriting then. Like even if you read Judith Ivory, who I love, I personally just love her, but even when you go through, there's so much description and clothing and all that. So I think the styles have changed with, like, we have, less time and everybody's so I think that's one thing, but and so not mine so much, like when I go back, they're a little bit wordier than they are now. And I think that's just my brain too, because everybody's got ADHD. But if you go back and like read Anne Stewart, I think you see the biggest change to me is not in the heroines, it's in the heroes. They were very alpha. They were dragging the women around by their hair a little bit sometimes. And I love Anne Stewart's books. I love them. And then that's the time. And her sexual chemistry, by the way, if you guys have never read her, read her. She's really good. But the heroes are, they're pretty dictatorial. And so I think that's where a lot of it has changed with the heroes. The cinnamon roll thing probably was not as much back then. Or you'll go back and read some older books and you're like, but, I was watching Pretty in Pink the other day, which says a lot about me, I think. And there was a thing and it made me so angry. I stopped. I paused and took a picture of it, and I'm going to put it out there. I don't know. And it's this whole thing about like, oh, this movie does not conform to themes of this time. I mean, please stop. That was 1986. And so I think if you're reading an older book or reading, watching a film, you kind of have to go with the time. Us evolving, I don't know. I don't know how to get younger readers, but I have some readers who are younger. They're certainly younger than me. So I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm on the big train, or maybe I'm not into the drama and I stick my head in the sand, but I'm not sure. I don't know. Do we need to revamp? I don't know. Do we? Maybe we do. I don't know.
I think that historical romance is like a waiting game. I think that eventually romance readers, if they're not into historical romance right now, will get to us eventually. It's kind of
and the ones that read it are very dedicated.
Yeah. And one of my favorite books about the historical romance genre is Maya Rodell's, I don't know if I'm saying her name right, Rodale, Dangerous Book for Girls. And in that, she says that every decade revises the historical romance world in their own image. So I feel like that's what we've been doing for the last 15, 20 years in turning the alpha hole into the cinnamon roll. And as Tracy said, sort of condensing the style of the historical romance voice. And I think that one thing stylistically that could keep moving us closer to contemporary romance readers is possibly the deep third POV perspective, because first person is what's used by contemporary authors, right?
Right.
And third person is what's used by the historical romance writer. But if you read someone like Tessa Bailey, who uses deep third POV in a contemporary romance setting, you almost can't tell it's third person anymore because she's so deep into that perspective. And I think that the deeper we go into our third person perspectives with our POV characters, the closer we get to that first person sound without losing the beloved third person historical romance perspective. Because I love it. That's my favorite way to read. I'm a third person reader and writer 100%.
I think that's a really good point because I tend to sway toward contemporary, and I do like first person, but I'm just finished a book, Charlie, and I'm reading Kathleen's right now, and honest to God, forgot it was in third person. Because I feel like I understand the characters very well. And Ray and I talk about this sometimes. I forget which one it was that we had just read, but we both said, sometimes I forgot what it was written in third person, and we were like, whose head are we in right now?
This was a modern one. A contemporary.
Yeah, it was a contemporary, but but I was so it gets confusing, but I have not
Yeah.
experienced that at all
No.
with this series. I mean, I didn't have
Not
an
at all.
experience with Tracy's books either. I've read more of Tracy's books, but like, I mean,
I think you'll see a historical writer do I bet somebody's going to try first person or something, and maybe, or the dual POV, you know, and I read contemporaries too. I'm large 80% historical, but I do read them too.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe that will work, or maybe that's great. I don't know. We play around with covers a lot. I mean, we're always trying. I mean, this genre is full of inventive, entrepreneurial people. I mean, in a way that it wasn't before, was just coming from a few publishers, a handful. So, I mean, all the sets and the anthology, all this stuff. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I think you guys have
really invented, indie authors will.
yeah.
Well, and I think honestly, you guys have a with Bridgerton. Definitely, that's as much as it makes me mad sometimes of how like not close to the show it is or the book it is. At least it is encouraging people to find like if you liked Bridgerton, you'll love these series, which I think is great. And the other thing I think too is like, especially like myself, but I started as historical, but the older I get, the farther away being able to relate to contemporary, especially like a new adult at this point. It's not going to hit for me because I'm way out of that. Like, again, hello youth. Like, I mean, like that's just where I'm at. So I think being able to be more relatable to, yes, I know it is a 19-year-old back in like, England, but still there's like some sort of like, I do feel like a little bit more, I can, it's more of a blank slate that I can work with as in relatability, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that's, the older people get, the more they'll come back to historical. I'm not sure, but I think that for myself, that's kind of like how I've always just gravitated towards, back towards.
Yes.
And I think there's more dialogue, at least from my perspective. When I read historicals now, there's more dialogue than there used to be. There's banter, and it's clever. There's a lot of humor now, and a lot more. There's a lot less of sweet savage love is what I cut my teeth on. Okay, my eyes that's like the gateway, right? And so it is. It's a gateway. It's a gateway romance. Think about it, but your expectations of Steve Morgan, who is the hero, if you want to call him that, is like a super hard. I mean, there's no banter. He's dragging her all over Mexico. He's calling her a whore every other day. I mean, and there's no like humor. There's no real dialogue between them that's shows a growth of a relationship. And I think today's romance are very different in that respect, that there's a lot of that now.
Yeah.
Look at Tessa Dare. I mean, all her books are very witty and very funny, and it wasn't like that back in the day. Whitney, my love, are you kidding me? He pulls her off a horse. No. He does.
Break your hip, but fall in love with me. Anyhow.
Fall in love with me. I'm going to treat you terribly, but you're going to fall in love with me. And that's what happens. I'm like, I mean, it sets unrealistic expectations, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So and they don't really talk to each other. So, and I think modern romances, they talk to each other.
Yeah. Agreed. The freedom that most of most of the contemporary has too, the women do, but we also notice how much more women in STEM that it has prevailed in historical romance, and I don't know if that's a way for kind of induct new younger crowds, is the women and the ladies in STEM sort of pathway, because it's I'm always excited when I see a historical that deals with we talked to Elizabeth Everett not too long ago.
We did The Love Remedy. It was so good.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, because there's so many things that I think that we, as we don't know. They're kind of been pushed aside by men's history, that women have actually discovered in the back in those days, in particular, that you have these secret women being doctors and that kind of thing, which is I think is fascinating, and that also might be bringing new readers. I'm not sure.
I think like Kathleen was saying earlier, there were women like this back in the 1800s. It's not as if this is a new modern idea that women have feelings and thoughts and like valid, intelligent things.
We can do more than embroider.
We can.
Yeah, we can.
Like, we always have been able to do more than that. It's just that we weren't necessarily allowed to, nor were you able to talk about it, even if you did. In, I think, similar ways to, we've always been like this. Gay people have always existed too. It's just that they weren't allowed to be like out and talking about it. So I think that in many ways, I don't begrudge Bridgerton, and I certainly don't begrudge Julia Quinn. Like, good for her. But I'm bummed that a series like this isn't what we're getting, because you have strong women who have who are doing things with their lives and with their time and with their money, and we're not really getting that in Bridgerton, and that, which is fine. Like, it's just different. Like, I would have liked, as a independent, opinionated lady, would have liked to have a little more of like the strong heroine coming out. But like, that's fine. Just make this too. Like, can you?
Yeah. Agreed.
There was something else I was going to ask you. Now I don't remember what it was, because we went on a side quest.
What happens?
It does.
Yeah.
Down the rabbit hole. Yep.
It absolutely does. I'm going to read this also so we'll record our episode. We're talking about both Charlie and Kathleen's books this Saturday when we record our regular episode of the podcast, because those are the two that are out, obviously. And I have to tell you, and I'll read this again on Saturday when we record, but Charlie, I was reading your book and literally my jaw dropped, because we talk about on the show all the time, like, the bar is on the floor for men, right?
So
like,
I'm sure right here.
Just can you please just pick the bar up off the floor? Like, this is embarrassing.
It's subterranean at this point. We just need a little pop.
Just please pop that thing up. But when Ophelia and Hades are walking somewhere together, and I'm not going to give anything away, but they're walking somewhere together, and she is out of breath when they get there, and he's a physician, and he's like, why are you so out of breath? Do you need to exercise more? She's like, no, you're walking too fast. Men are so inconsiderate. And he apologized. This is what I mean. The bar's on the floor. He apologized. And she was like, for what? And he says, not modifying my pace for you. You're correct. It was inconsiderate. I'll do better. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? What? Who? So angry / happy. Like,
listen out there, men. All we need is for you to walk next to us, not in front of us. Thank you.
Literally,
Right.
this is such a tiny thing, and I am a person with short legs, and so I was just like, I said, my husband all the time. I'm just like, hi, I'm still back here. It's
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
remember when we got married? Like, just hang back here with me. Show your face. So anyway, thank you for that, Charlie. I appreciated it.
Charlie's an acrobat. Why didn't you mention that?
Wait, what?
Oh my god. No, she does like the circus.
No one's
It's
interested.
crazy.
I don't know.
No, are you kidding?
Everybody's interested in that. I'm sorry.
Every single
Oh my
person.
god. Do you have stuff on Instagram? You have stuff, right? Like, go look.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I have pictures, videos on my Instagram account. I do aerial silks and handstands.
Oh, cool.
I don't do handstands very well. I'm better at walking than standing in the same place. But yeah, I do performances, and I dress up in the sequins and stuff, and
That's so cool.
It's crazy. Go
love
look.
it.
She's hanging
I
up
have
and
to look. I
looking
did not know this, but now
very impressive. I'm very impressed and terrified, but it's cool.
Oh. Well, we know what
my
I'm doing for the
husband,
rest of
he's
the
also
night.
terrified 75% of the time.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I actually I have 2 circus books, 2 Regency historical romances where the circus is mentioned. So yeah, I do circus and sometimes I write about it, and it's a good time. It's a fun trivia fact about me.
That's super fun. Add to TV.
Anybody else have any things that
I would
no.
Everyone should do circus.
Nobody else has any?
I teach it and everyone should I'm always trying to come to the circus.
I can't believe you didn't mention it. It's
circus.
It's so cool.
That's amazing.
If I did acrobats, it's not on purpose. It's usually kind of nice.
Yeah.
And it's not pretty. So
same.
No. I wish I could say. I mean, that sounds wonderful, and I'm going to have to check out some of that stuff. But if mine is ever put up there, it's not on purpose.
No, same.
Yeah, we hammock. We have this hammock, and it's low to the ground, and we put all new students inside of it, and you learn how to do little poses, and then
oh wow,
we take you up higher and higher, and
I mean, it sounds like Pilates. Is it like Pilates?
Oh my God, you guys are going to be shocked when you see her videos. It's real deal.
It sounds like a lot more fun than Pilates.
When I heard about poses in a hammock, now that got my attention. I'm like, well, I'd like to hear more about this. But I wasn't thinking about a circus act. I was like, something else. I can get down on that. Yep, I can do that.
We can Google when was the hammock created. Well, there certainly were hammocks. They had them on the ships then.
They had them on the ships. Slept in.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some amazing trapeze, pictures of Victorian trapeze artists, and
cool
rope. I think there was also Victorian rope artists.
Oh,
and particularly the type of rope.
He's getting better.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
Yeah, go on.
You have my attention.
But slower.
Wait, I'm taking notes. Where's my pen?
It's going to show up as a brazen bit.
She's a duke's daughter,
use a handcuff to handcuff your
Yeah.
Oh.
Hello.
Yes.
Perfect.
Wow. Okay.
Please and thank you.
If this doesn't appear in a book, I'm going to be really disappointed.
Everyone's Google history later.
Oh my God, yeah.
Ray and Veronica like the dirt.
Yeah. I'm telling you, my Google algorithm is just dead at this point.
Yeah.
Just dead. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
It set itself on fire and walked away at this point.
Like the NSA agents who monitor us, we're,
We're like the comic relief.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're just like, what are those weird ladies doing these days? Go check them out. Things are slow. Let's go look at those romance writers.
I mean, they're Googling how to kill somebody with arsenic or, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
It's amazing what you can find on the internet.
Yeah. Kinky Victorian trapeze stuff.
Yeah, see?
I have no idea.
Never knew I wanted it.
Changed.
That's how you bring new historical romance readers in. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. I love it.
So we really appreciate the time that you have given us today.
You guys have been great.
Is there anything else that we should talk about with the Rake Review that you want readers or potential readers to know?
Yep.
I don't know. I'm thinking.
Yeah, I don't.
Join the Brazen Belles so that you're up on all the news. And we do great giveaways. We gave away calendars.
Nice.
So
is this your Facebook?
Yeah.
Yes, it's our Facebook.
It's our Facebook.
Okay. We
Yeah,
will
you
link
guys
to
can
that
come.
Facebook in the episode.
Yeah, for sure.
lot of guest authors. Everybody
a fun
posts
group.
mostly once a week if they remember, which I'm pretty good. I'm three Fridays out of the month. I'm supposed to be, every Friday. But yeah, no, it's really great, and there's a lot of it's fun,
It's a good group.
And we put little sales in there when somebody has a sale or a freebie. We pop them in, so it's good.
Yeah,
Excellent.
it's a lot of fun.
Join the Facebook group, guys.
There's a lot of different styles of writers, I think. I mean, it's nice. I think if somebody reads through the sets, they'll sort of find somebody they haven't read, or
Definitely.
That's awesome.
That's one of my favorite
all
things
steamy,
about
I
stuff
think.
like that.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
everybody's
it's all
pretty
pretty
steamy.
steamy.
So that's
Perfect.
Steamier the better, obviously.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say, did you ever read? Is it Susan Johnson or is it Susan Johnston? Remember her?
Oh, that sounds really familiar.
She was like Bring on the Heat back in the day. I mean, I'm not saying if you read them, they're very dated now, probably, but she was like, I think it's Susan Johnson. She was big. So if you haven't, go, yeah.
Okay.
Hers was almost erotica back when, that kind of.
Susan Johnson.
But she was Avon. Yeah, Avon or Berkeley or somebody. Yeah.
A lot of her covers have just Justy McChestertons.
Oh, I mean, she was like, for just kind of, whatever, but just normal, whatever. She was definitely, she was hot.
Oh, she's got a Fabio. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Oh, she has a Fabio. Yes, she was big. She got a Fabio.
I think she got a Fabio. I think it's a Fabio. Pre-goose in the face.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
I was just thinking about that, actually.
Thinking about it, Like,
do you know he got off that ride and told no one to ride? Like, don't ride the ride afterwards. I'm like, the chances of a goose hitting someone else is pretty low. I mean,
that's only because we saw one of his covers.
I love it.
That was the day. Them were the days.
Truly.
Yeah.
Ladies, thank you so much. We
thank
really
you
appreciate
so
you
very
being
much
here tonight and giving us some of your time. I don't need just thank you. I don't know what else to say. It's just
this
we're
was
really
so fun.
Honored to have had you here, and thank you for putting all of this together, and Tracy, obviously, for facilitating this and introducing us to people. We can't wait to see to read the rest of the series, and I hope there's more to come.
We shall see. Well, thank you for the support and reading the book.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Me too.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.